I don't know how you read the paper, but when the morning paper comes, the first thing I read is the sports section. And then when I finish with that, I go right to the advice column. And I've done that since I was a kid. Growing up, I used to love to read Ann Landers or Dear Abby and compare advice they gave to what advice I would give. So if there's any of you out there like me, put on your advice hats and see what you would say to this letter. Dear Jim, I am a recent grandmother of a beautiful 2-month-old baby girl. My daughter-in-law is a wonderful woman who deeply loves my son, and I'm so grateful that he found such a good woman to marry. She's good to him, good to me, good to the whole family. But there's just this one thing. When I see her changing my granddaughter's diapers, I see that she's not doing it the right way. I don't blame her. After all, it's her first child, and I've had 5. But she's just not doing it right. I don't want to interfere, and I don't want to hurt her feelings or do anything to hurt our relationship, but I would like to tell her how to do it right. Should I bring it up to her in a very gentle and helpful way? Every time I see her change those diapers, it's all I can do to hold my tongue. So what should I do? Should I say something to her? Signed, Desperate Over Diapers. So, what would you say to Desperate Over Diapers? Well, I know what I would say, and I imagine that a lot of you would say the same thing. What should I do? Nothing. Say nothing. Do nothing. Stay out of it. It is not going to go well, okay? And if any of us could go back in time and be in that conversation that Jesus was having with his disciples, telling them about his upcoming passion, and then see Peter take Jesus aside to give him some advice, we would probably say the same thing to Peter. Stop. Say nothing. Do nothing. Whatever you say, he's not going to like it. It's not going to go well. And it did not go well. Jesus did not like one word that Peter had to say. And Peter, understandably, meant well when he was rebuking Jesus. Because all along, Jesus had slowly been revealing himself as the Messiah. And Peter had seen how he multiplied the loaves and the fishes. He saw him walking on the water, saving Peter's life, calming the storm. He saw him healing the people, preaching such gentle, wonderful words to them, consoling words. He healed the Canaanite woman's daughter. And then he even called Peter, saying to him, "Who do you say that I am?" And Peter, from all of this, he got it. And he said, basically, nobody can do what you do unless they're the Messiah. You're the Christ. And then Peter was recognized by Jesus. You're the rock. On you I build my church. And so all of this had been happening. And then all of a sudden, Jesus is talking about how he has to go to Jerusalem, which is the holy city, but it's also the city where prophets go to be killed. And he said he's going to go there and be handed over to the leaders of the people. He's going to suffer, be tortured, die. And he's saying all this, and it makes no sense to Peter at all, having seen what he has already been seeing. And so Peter, very nicely, pulls Jesus aside, not in front of the others, and begins to rebuke him with very nice words. God forbid such a thing ever happen to you. And in doing so, places himself in front of Jesus, teaching Jesus another path. And Jesus, very understandably, is angry and says to him words so similar to the ones he said when he was in the desert being tempted by the devil, said to the devil, "Depart from me, get away from me." And what he says to Peter, "Get behind me." Right. Which is the place where the disciple should be. If you're a disciple, you're following the Master. You're following Jesus. You're not in front of him, teaching him. And not only get behind me, but get behind me, Satan. And not Satan as we often think of Satan, a demon from hell, but Satan especially as the Jewish people understood Satan, who is the tester of loyalties. Satan, who tested the loyalty of Job in the Old Testament, who tested the loyalty of Jesus in the desert. Peter inadvertently is testing the loyalty of Jesus to God because Peter is offering him a different path to walk on. Not the path that leads to passion, death, and resurrection, but a different path. He's testing his loyalty. Little wonder that Jesus reacts as he reacts and rebukes Peter. And then, as Jesus so often does, he doubles down. And he tells all of his apostles what the price of being a disciple is. That you cannot love your life and follow me. And by loving life, what he means is trying to pursue your happiness, your fulfillment through the things of this world. Because if you try to love your life, there's no end to that pursuit. There never will be enough money. There's never enough fame. There's never enough pleasure. You can't climb high enough up that ladder. Too much is not enough. No, you can't love your life. You have to lose it. Or in other words, you have to give it away. And the way that you give it away is by carrying the cross. And if you carry the cross, you have to carry it with love. And I know that we all know what that means, because I know that we all have carried a cross with love. You know, parents, you've carried your children. Your children can be your cross. And I don't mean that in a funny way. I don't want you at home right now, you moms saying, hear that? You're a cross, all right? No, I mean it seriously. When you have your children, you're having to feed them, to carry them, to educate them, to nurse them. You have to do everything for them. They're your cross, and you carry them, and you carry them with love. And sometimes we carry our parents with love. They get older. Maybe they're sick. Maybe they need to go into hospice, and we have them in our own home, watching them slowly fade. And we carry that cross with love. Maybe our spouse can be our cross. And sometimes we have to do the heavy lifting in the relationship. And sometimes we have to do more forgiving than before, or more understanding than before, or more work than before. And we do all of that with love. We understand them, we forgive them, we listen to their we listen to all their stories that they've told us over and over again. Father Tim was telling about his dad, and how one time his dad was telling Father Tim a story that Mac had heard so many times before, and he stopped him and he said, Dad, I've already heard that story. His dad said to him, well, yeah, but you haven't heard it today. So, you know, is listening to the same old stories over and over again, carrying a cross? Yeah, sure it is. We do it with love. And we better do it with love. Because if we don't, well then resentment is going to creep in. And then we'll be carrying that cross, but with a spirit of, I don't deserve this. You know, my brothers and sisters should be helping me with Mom, and they're not. And these kids, they're so ungrateful. Why do I even bother? And that spouse of mine, what a load. I don't deserve this. I deserve better. Boy, if we have that kind of spirit, we have become Satan, the tester of loyalties. Because I guarantee you, we have become the cross that somebody else is having to carry, and they probably don't like it. And we're testing them to see whether they would carry me. What a load I have become. But haven't we met people who carry their cross with tremendous grace, with tremendous love? I know a woman, her husband died, and then she had the responsibility of the house, of the kids, of raising them, and being the main breadwinner, and she did it all. without resentment. It was a tremendous amount of work, a hard cross to carry it, and she carried it like this other mom I know who gave birth to an autistic child, and she had to work and work for years and years and did it, and that child is the most high-functioning autistic child I've ever met in my life. And she did all of that, carried all that cross with love. My dad, he worked 2 jobs all his life. We've all met people like that who carry those crosses with tremendous love. And when we see someone like that, we want to be someone like that. Because somehow, even though there's a storm going on, these people somehow manage to walk on water. And even though they're deprived, they somehow manage to multiply the loaves and fishes. And even though they may be sick, they're still able to heal the others. And they can do all that because they walk with Christ. And Christ walks with them. And they carry that cross with love. And as Jesus said, when you carry that cross, you never do it alone. I help you carry it. So, what advice would we give to desperate over diapers? Maybe this. Dear desperate, tell your daughter-in-law what a wonderful mommy she is and what a great job she is doing. And if she ever needs any help with anything at all, including diapers, give me a call and I will be right there with you. I'm so proud of you. If you ever need somebody to help you carry that cross, you call on me.